this lecture, we are going to check out how can we make this login system that we developed in one of the previous lectures more advanced by adding a forgot password screen to it. Right. So the first thing that I am going to do is let's come on this designing part and create a new screen. So for doing that, we need to hit this drop down over here. These are some of the options you're going to come across. Now from here, I am going to visit this screen 1. I am going to make this screen active first. So as you can see, its name is already getting reflected over here in this drop down. So that means that it is already active, right? Now in order to create a copy of this screen, what we have to do, we need to hit this duplicate button. Automatically a copy of this screen is going to get created like this. Now because I don't want this invalid credentials label box over here, so I am going to eliminate it. Let's put it back in this design toolbox. Right. Now there are 3 different components which are there on this screen, and the only thing which is looking odd to me is this sign in getting reflected in the background. So how can we remove it? You remember in one of the previous lecture I told you how can you edit this text which is there getting reflected in the background. So we are going to follow the same steps. Let's come on this desktop of mine, and here I am going to make use of this login screen. Let's open it up in the Paint software. So for doing that, we need to right click on this image, and automatically this beautiful cascading menu is going to come. Now from here, I am going to come on this open with option, and let's choose this Paint software. So now in a couple of seconds, this image is going to open up in the Paint software like this. So here right on the top, this sign in is getting reflected. Now I'm going to make use of the selection tool. Let's select some part of this blue color. I'm going to create an instance of this selected part by pressing Ctrl and C together. We can do it, and then we can press Ctrl and V together for creating a copy of this selected part. Let's now bring it on the top of the sign in to hide the text. Okay, so as you can see, sign in is no more visible to us over here on this beautiful screen. Now I'm going to make use of this text tool for writing down. Let's write down update password. Okay, and now I'm going to reduce the font size of this text. So for doing that, we can make use of this drop down over here. Let's reduce it down to 24 or 22. Yeah, 22 is looking fine. I'm going to put it over here. Now in order to change the text color of this font, we can select this whole text, and from here I am going to select this white color. So as you can see, now the update password thing is getting reflected in white color on this beautiful screen. Okay, now I'm going to save this screen with a unique name on my desktop. So for that, I am going to make use of this save as option, which is going to redirect me on one of the locations present on my desktop. Here I am going to save it with update. Okay, fine. So I am done with making the required changes in this image, and also I'm done with saving this image with a unique name on the desktop. Let's come on this Applab, and here I am going to first select this image component we have on this screen 3. So it is image 4. Now in order to change this background image, we guys can come down over here, and let's make use of this choose option, which is going to redirect us on this beautiful assets library of the Applab. From here I am going to upload that image which I just created, which is there on the desktop. Let's select that image. So it is this image which I created. Let's set this open button for uploading this image on the Applab. So the image is getting uploaded right now. It may take some time depending upon the size of the image. So I'm done with uploading the required image over here in this assets section of the Applab. Now I'm going to hit this choose button in order to choose that image for this image button, and as you can see, this update password thing is getting reflected right on the top of this screen, right? So that's how you can make the required changes. Fine. So now there are three components over here. Let's rename the IDs of all these three components. Let's select this first component from here. I'm going to change it to you email, and this, the ID of this one, I am changing it to you password. I'm changing the ID of this button to update. In case any user want to update the password of his profile, he can make use of this screen. Right. Now, how can we redirect the user on this update password screen? That's what we have to think about. So, if it is a new user, he's going to come on this screen 4, which is the sign up screen. And here he's going to mention his email ID and password. And after that, when he will hit this submit button, automatically the details which he's going to mention here in these two fields, they are going to get saved in this table named users, in these two fields, email and password. And finally, he is going to get redirected on this screen 1. If suppose while entering his credentials, he come across this error invalid credentials, okay, and he fails to recall the password which he entered while creating his profile on this platform, then I would like him to make use of that update password screen so that he can update the password with which he created his profile on this platform. So we need to connect this sign in screen with that update password screen first. How can we do that? So let's come on this designing part, and as you can see over here, there is a small text which is getting reflected on this sign in image, which says forgot password. So we can make it act like a button. Right now it is a part of this image. So in order to make it act like a button, we can make use of this label box and we can place it over here. Let's increase the size of this label box a little bit and eliminate this text which is getting reflected in this label box. So that's how you can do it. Now, so I'm going to change the ID of this label box to forgot. Let's now go back on that coding panel, and here right in the bottom, I am going to define a code for this label box I have placed over here so as to connect this sign in screen with that update password screen. So what we can do, we can make use of this on even block and we can place it right on the bottom like this. And here from this first drop down, we are going to select the ID of this label box. So the ID of this label box is forgot. Let's select this. Now when the user will hit this forgot password label box, I would like him to get redirected on that update screen. So what is the name of that screen? It is screen 3. So let's change this to screen 3. That's how you can make the required changes. And here, in order to make it more interactive for the user, you can add a speech or sound to this on even block. So I'm going to go with this play speech block. Let's put it right below this set screen block. And here I am going to change this hello world to here you can update your profile password. Fine. Now let's go back on that screen 4. Now there are three components. As you guys know, on this update password screen, we are going to make use of all these three components in order to give the rights to the users to update their profile's password anytime. We need to come up and let's define an on even block for this beautiful button over here. The ID of this button is update. So we need to place this on even block right in the bottom, and here we can select the ID of this button in this first drop down. Let's go for this update. Now when the user will hit this update button, see, the first thing that I would like to do is I would like to read the records. I would like to read the credentials with which he created his profile on this platform. For doing that, we can come on this data tab and let's make use of this read records block. I am going to put it inside this on even block like this. So the table in which the information of the credentials are getting saved is users. So let's replace the name of the table over here with users. Okay, we need to first match the email address. So in these two curly brackets, we can mention a condition like this in order to put a validation on this email component. And let's get it with the help of this get text block. Now I'm going to write down over here the ID of this component. So the ID of this component is email, right? Okay, now against this email address, we would like whatever password the user has mentioned while creating his profile, it should get updated with the one which he is going to mention now over here in this field. So how can we do that? So the best way of doing that is by making use of this update record block. We can pick it up and place it right inside this for loop like this. So because we are updating the records which are there in this users named table, so that's the reason I need to replace this my table with users. Now comes this ID part. How can we get the ID for this email address over here? So for doing that, we can make use of a very simple code, that is records I.id. Now whatever ID, against whatever ID this email ID is present in this table, it is going to get pulled up by this line of code I have mentioned over here. And now there are two fields which are there in this table. One is this email field and the second one is this password field. So we need to mention both the fields. We need to define the code for both the fields over here inside these two curly brackets. Right. So the second field is email. So I'm going to pull the content for this email field from this input box, the ID of which is email. Let's do that. And for this password, for this field named password, I am going to pull up the required information from this text box which I have placed over here on this update password screen for the user to mention the password in. So let's do that. Fine. So I'm done with defining the whole code with which the user can update his records anytime. Right. Now once the user is done with updating his records, I would like him to go back on this sign in screen. So for doing that, we can come down, and here just after the point where this update, where this read records is ending, okay, we can define a code with which we can get the user redirected on this sign in screen. So let's make use of this set screen block. I am going to put it over here. We need not to make any changes in this part because this is the same which is getting reflected right on the top over here for the sign in screen, right? Okay, and besides I would like the user to hear a speech in the background. Your password has been updated successfully. Okay, so that's what he's going to hear after updating his password. Right, now let's check out whether we'll be able to get the desired output from this code which we have defined over here or not. Now I'm going to run this app on a bigger screen. Let's hit the share button and use this link for accessing this app on a bigger screen. So for that, I'm going to open a new tab, and here I'm going to paste that copied link. Okay, so this is how your app is going to look like. Fine, and this is a screen on which the user is going to come when he will first access this app on his device. Now here I am going to register a profile with some ID. Let's choose this one, right? And here I am going to enter a password. So it is nevi@gmail.com and the password is nevi123. Let's hit this login button. Fine. So I am there on the sign in
Your
screen.
profile has been
Okay,
created
let's come
successfully.
on this Applabs data browser and check out. Okay, so here as you can see, the all the information which I mentioned for creating Nevi's profile is getting reflected here in this user's name table. Now I am going to make use of this ID with which I created Nevi's profile, and here I am going to enter an incorrect password. Fine. So if I will hit this login button, definitely I'm going to come
You
across this
entered
invalid
invalid
credentials
credentials.
error. Now,
You entered invalid
if
credentials.
at any point of time Nevi want to change her password which he mentioned while creating his profile, so she can hit this forgot password button, and automatically she's going to
Here
come
you
on
can
this
update your
update
profile
password
password.
screen. Now here let's mention Nevi's ID first. So it is nevi@gmail.com. Okay, now I'm going to define a new password for this email address, and so let's do that. Let's make it Nevi321. Okay, at present the password over here is Nevi123. Let's see after hitting this login button whether I will be able to update the password which is getting reflected against this email ID over here in this users table or not. So let's hit this login button. Okay, so
Your
I
password has been
am
updated
there again on
successfully.
the sign in screen, and as you can see over here the password has got updated from Nevi123 to Nevi321. Right, now let's enter Nevi321 over here, and when you'll hit this login button,
You entered
this is
invalid
what you are
credentials.
going to come across. Fine, so that's how you can define a beautiful update password screen for your login system and make it more advanced. Now the only thing which is which was looking odd to me was, when I came on that sign in screen, the error message and the password were still getting reflected on this sign in screen. So what we can do, as soon as the user hits this forgot password label box, I would like this to go disappear, and also whatever he has mentioned over here in this password field, it should also go disappear from this screen. So for doing that, we can come down over here, and inside this uneven block we can make use of this set text property. So whatever is written in whatever the user has mentioned over here inside this password named field, I would like to go everything disappear. So that's how we can do it, by passing a null value. Okay, and then this error should also go disappear. So we can make use of hide element property in order to hide this invalid credentials thing. Fine. Now I am going to run this app one more time using this link on a bigger window. Let's see whether we'll be able to get the desired output or not. So now I am going to create one more profile on this platform. Let's make use of anubhav@gmail.com, and here I am going to mention Anubhav's password. So Anu123 is the one with which I am going to register his profile. Let's hit this login button. So I'm there on this sign in screen.
Your
As you
profile
can
has been
see over
created
here
successfully.
in this table named users, we are able to see the information which we mentioned for creating Anubhav's profile, right? Let's go back on that login screen. Now I am going to enter Anubhav's ID over here, and here I am going to enter an incorrect password. Let's hit this login button and see what is going to happen. So invalid credentials. See, the error is getting reflected over here.
You
Let's hit
entered
this
invalid
forgot password
credentials.
label box.
You entered
So we are
invalid
here on this
credentials.
update password screen.
You
Let's
entered invalid
update the
credentials.
password for Anubhav's profile. So I'm going to update it to Anu321.
Here
Right
you can
now it
update your
is
profile password.
Anu123. So now check out whether it has got updated or not. So as you can see, the password has got updated and it is now Anu321. Okay, and we are not able to see that invalid login credentials and the password which we mentioned earlier for logging into this app anymore. Let's write down the updated password over here and hit this login button. For watching this video, hope you guys enjoyed it a lot. Have a great day. Bye bye.